So, I fuck up. Now I explain to you. Okay? First of all, welcome back, fellow listener. Here with you, always, Ivan Lacroix. Well, I fuck up because I made a mistake. I think that Saga of Old City have 35 chapters. Well, it have not. I have a bad memory. Apparently, I have a bad memory. It have only 33. So today I promise to read another 3 chapters for ending the book, but there is only one remaining, and it have 6 pages only. So it's very brief, and this is the last one, not 3 chapters. Well, my mistake for that. Well, I have fools. For that, now I do my life for the last chapter. Then I read 2 chapters of the following book, Artifact of Evil. That is the second book of the Greyhawk Adventure series and Gord the Rogue series. I hope it is not too long. Well, anyway, let's end Saga of Old City. And most important, between the last chapter of Saga of Old City and the 2 chapters of Artifact of Evil, I will interrupt the live for saving us 2 different videos on YouTube. And so I will interrupt the live for a brief second, then I start again for another 2 chapters of Artifact of Evil. I do this because I want 2 different videos for YouTube, and I don't want a single video for the last chapter of Saga of Old City and the first 2 of Artifact of Evil. This is good for Twitch, but not so good for YouTube. So let's end, and sorry, if you listen to this on YouTube, well, no problem for you, because I make 2 separate videos. That's all. So let's end, and sorry for my mistake, my bad. Let's end Saga of Old City with the last chapter, only 6 pages. Well, I'm very stupid for that. I have to admit. So last time we left when Curly, our heroes, Curly, Shart, and Gord, defeated the Cataboline, the demon, and completed their quest and recovered the ancient relic that Curly searched. Then Curly departed. They returned together to Greyhawk, and Curly departed for discovering with his fellow druids and the archdruid too what the relic is. And then Shart and Gord are living in Greyhawk now with more money than at the beginning. Let's see how Saga of Old City ends. Chapter 31, and last one. A hunchbacked old beggar, clutching some sort of prize close to his body, picked a colorful path through the ordure and garbage that littered the narrow lane twisting its way through Old City, leading the rugged man out of the far slums district toward the one that sheltered his fellows. A close inspection will reveal that they cradled an ordinary-looking rectangular box, perhaps made of some unusual and old wood, but dirty and dry with age and neglect, and cracked and battered too. Perhaps the decrepit thing will fetch a few lowly bronze coins somewhere, and these were certainly a fortune to a beggar such as this. He shuffled along, trying to remain inconspicuous with his meager treasure. Then the stupid figure suddenly raised his head, for shadows had fallen across his path. "No beggar passes without paying tribute, crookback." The little old man quivered and peered with watery eyes at the gang of ruffians who stood grinning at his fright. He clutched the box more tightly and shoved it backward. I have nothing you want. I am old and poor, a diseased beggar. Don't touch me. Old and beggar you are, and a lying old fart too, the biggest of the gang said menacingly, as he stepped toward the little fellow. Hand us that object that you prize so, and I might forget your bullshit. After all, I hear it's good luck to rob a hump such as yours, and just seeing you has brought me and my boys some luck already. The handful of men who composed the rest of the gang of ruffians looked loudly at that, for they knew that their spokesman was about to take the wooden container from the dirty old tramp and then thump its back until it went howling off. That was the way of the slums, the stronger preying upon the weaker. If there was little to be taken, that was as it was. Their band was the law in this small area, and all who dare enter, save men of the watch, or those who could afford armed escort, had to accept their exaction. It had been thus for years now, and only the foolish, stupid, or insane challenged the gang's right. Give me that! The broken-toothed leader shouted as he tried to grab the box from the hunchback's grasp. The old man was unusually quick and agile for one so deformed, and he managed to step smartly back and avoid the attempted purloining of his paltry treasure. Stay away! Leave me alone! If you don't, you'll regret it! The beggar said in a voice as crooked and ancient as the wood he held so dear. This infuriated the ruffian and convulsed his associates with laughter. The onlookers laughed and exhorted the old beggar to show his adversary a thing or two, while the big gangster made further futile attempts to grab either the dirty old man or what he held on to. You have asked for it, damn shit, and now I'm gonna give it to you good. As he spat these words at the hunchback, who had managed to elude his efforts, the burly ruffian whipped the wicked-bladed knife from his shabby jerkin. I'm gonna carve that hump right off in your back, and maybe eat it too. Nobody talks to the leader of the headsmen like that. The bully started forward, but then suddenly stopped and stared in amazement. The old man had thrown off his tattered hood and short cape. His hump was gone, a part of the discarded garment, and his appearance had changed too. The aged and shaking beggar had suddenly transformed himself into a straight young man, smallish but tall and capable looking, despite the rags of clothing that remained on his frame. Gone too was the frightened demeanor, to be replaced by a hard voice, determined face, and spread-legged stance, elbows held wide and hands on hips. And I warned you too! Now what is it to be, Snuggle? The bigger man paused in his advance to gape in astonishment at the result of the transformation. Recognition slowly dawned across his stupid countenance, and his coarse features lifted in a cruel grin. I'll be dipped in boiling batshit! It's our old playmate, Gord the Gutless! He turned to leer at his friends for their benefit, adding as he turned back, You come back to piss your pants for us all? Snuggle bit off the rest of what he had to say as he beheld the long glittering dagger in Gord's hand and the deadly look in his eyes. Maybe, thought the cowardly ruffian, this was someone to be handled by the whole gang. Come on, boys, let's get this right, he called to his comrades. Without looking back at them, his fellows began to move forward slowly. This was an unexpected development, and one that they were uncertain about. It was all well and good to bully and beat the helpless, or even brawl with someone who tried to put up a fight with fists. But the man who defied their leader looked quite ready to kill one and all, and might be able to accomplish such work too, judging by the hard eyes and ready weapon he displayed. What's the matter, you bag of guts? Sorry, wrong voice. What's the matter, you bag of guts? Can the leader of the headsmen handle one smaller man by himself? How can you need help with me? I'm just a gutless piss-pant, aren't I? The others stopped and murmured agreement among themselves that there was merit to the words Gord spoke. Snuggle was, after all, the tallest of their gang and their leader. If there was a fight here, it was his alone. They would watch and see. Alright, by me, you little asshole, Snaggle said without conviction. Gripping his knife, he came toward Gord alone. I recall how you... Oh, sorry. I recall how you took my little broken knife from me years ago, Snaggle. Do you think you can manage to get this blade as easily? Gord taunted, and then he danced back from the lunging rush of the bigger ruffian, logging as he did so. Gord drew the match out as long as he could, careful not to let himself be wounded and to inflict only superficial, painful jabs and small cuts upon the stupid man who vainly sought to come to grips with his elusive opponent. Of course, the stupid ruffian was no match for one so skilled as Gord, and the other members of the big fellow's pitiful gang were soon quite glad they had not entered this fight. Gord was an adversary capable of taking the whole group on an encounter such as this, and leaving them all licking their lives out onto the dirty cobblestones thereafter. With athletic grace, Gord leaped and tumbled rings around the confused and dismayed Snaggle, playing with him, goading him into blind charges and clumsy assaults that always ended with Gord elsewhere and Snaggle bleeding from yet another small wound. Panting, trembling, fearful now, the bigger man tried another tactic. You win, Gord! I quit, he called to the smiling, flint-eyed fellow who faced him. You've gotten to be pretty good, old pal, so let's guess you passed the test, right guys? You can be a member of our bench if you In a flash the knife Snaggle had held before himself was gone, and numbness shot from his fingers up his arm. Gord had kicked the blade away with blinding speed, instantly closed to within a foot of the big leader, and lashed out expertly with his own blade. Snaggle stared down at his belly, gone suddenly cold and painful. The jerkin he wore was cut away, the dirty skin beneath it revealed. A thin line of red traced the path the dagger point had taken across his eerie, bulging belly to where it now rested in his navel. He looked along the weapon's steely length to the corded hand that grasped it, then up along the arm to the eyes of the man before him. Snaggle saw the threat of death in those eyes. No, please don't kill me, Snaggle whined, and with that he lost whatever remained of his valor and fainted dead away. Satisfied at last, Gord casually stooped and tore off part of the slashed and stained jerkin. As he wiped his dagger clean on the strip of cloth, he looked around and studied the stupefied members of the ruffian band. They looked quickly away from his gaze, not wishing him to think a returned stare meant a challenge. They had seen all they ever needed to see of him. I am doing Snaggle a favor, and all of you stupid jerks one as well. I'm not going to kill him, or you, this time, but if I ever happen to run into any of you again, you can bet your lives the favor won't be given a second time. He idly toed the unconscious Snaggle with his booted foot. Your big, tall leader seems to have soiled himself, both ways too from the stink of it. Drag shit pants, here, away with you when you run along, and boys, I'd do that right now if I were you. With cautious haste, the gang complied, and the last Gord saw of them they were going as fast as they could manage, holding their still unconscious leader by his arms, his legs scraping and bouncing along the rough cobbles as they hastened into a narrow alleyway and out of sight. That was not exactly revenge, the grinning young thief thought to himself as he put his disguise back on and hid away from the slums. It was more like justice. He had balanced things, wiped out an old humiliation, and at last freed himself from whatever vague stigma from his former existence had plagued him over the years. Now there was nothing left undone, nothing more to prove, no more of the old, except the cherished possession, the box that old Lena had once told him was somehow tied to the mystery of Gord's parentage. He had found it easily, right where he had seen Lena buried years ago, close to where the old lean-to of his childhood had stood. He didn't know exactly what he would do with or about the box, but that was a matter for later. Now he had a new life to build. All of Greyhawk lay before him, waiting for him to familiarize and refamiliarize himself with, from an exhilarating new perspective. Equipped with the vast riches, knowledge, and skills gained in his broad wanderings, Gord knew that Greyhawk was now his, and he had some interesting times in store. He had come to grips with his elusive opponent. Of course, the stupid ruffian was no match for one so skilled as Gord, and the other members of the big fellow's pitiful gang were soon quite glad they had not entered this fight. Gord was an adversary... Sorry? Ah, no problem. Gord was an adversary capable of taking the whole group on any... this is a repetition? Why? Sorry, there is an error in the book, I think. Yeah, there is a repetition. Maybe an error. A repetition. Sorry. Well, the last sentence in reality is the end, so I read that again because there is an error in the book and there is an extra page. So, equipped with the vast riches, knowledge and skills gained in his broad wanderings, Gord knew that Greyhawk was now his, and he had some interesting times in store. End of chapter 33 and end of Saga of Old City. And that's all for this book, for the moment. So, we end our book. Finally. Very good. Now, let's open the next one. If I found it. Artifact of Evil. Here we are. How many chapters? Maybe it's... I think it's brief. Also 33 with an epilogue. So 34 in all. So okay, good. Then for Saga of Old City, this is all. Now we end here. We make a brief pause and I end the live here because I want only a video for the last chapter of Saga of Old City, and then we continue with another 2 chapters, or I think 2. Yep, this is pretty long, with Artifact of Evil. For now, a brief pause.